Kiss like this, 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 this. Kiss like this, 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 this. Kiss like this.
You know, I've always been a believer of being myself and staying true to who I am and not being performative and becoming a character that I just can't keep up with myself.
Whilst there have been positive changes, I do feel like women are constantly still put in boxes. There's a certain type of woman you can be, you know? You can be the sexy pop girl, you can be the weird, freaky girl, you can be the loud girl, the quiet girl. It's challenging sometimes to be a woman in music, but I rise to the challenge.
Kiss like this, kiss like this, kiss like this, kiss like this, kiss like this.
I am not defined by my gender, you know, I am a great musician. I'm not a great female musician, I'm a great musician. If there was justice in the world, I would be nominated and winning every award. I think that's really only fair. He was like, hey, like, I like your music. I run parties in East London. Do you want to come and play at one? I told my parents, they freaked out. They were like, this is not good. Like, you want to go to an illegal warehouse rave in Hackney Wick. Like, this doesn't sound appropriate. And I was like, well, just come. And they were like, okay, cool. And yeah, I mean, there were a lot of funny moments where someone tried to sell my dad MDMA, but he thought they said MDF, as in like the flooring. So he was like, yeah, I don't have any room in my car right now, but I would love to purchase some MDF from you. And the guy was like, wait, what? Like, how much do you want to buy? And he was like, well, you know, I've got a car, I can fit a lot in there. And it was just like weird miscommunication things like that would happen.
Before Charli XCX became the global pop icon we know today, she was just Charlotte Emma Atkinson. In 2006, at just 14 years old, she didn't just idolize Britney Spears and the Spice Girls, she wanted to follow in their footsteps. With a spark of ambition far beyond her years, she begged her parents for a loan to record her very first album at a local studio. 14, an album that marked the humble beginnings of a future superstar. She wrote, produced, and played every instrument on the project. Naturally, Charli began uploading the album to MySpace, the go-to platform for getting noticed in 2011. Before long, promoters were inviting her to perform her gritty, raw pop rock tracks at underground, chaotic, and often illegal raves in East London warehouses. Imagine a 15-year-old creating music so impressive, it gets her booked to perform at underground, drug-fueled raves across London. Not only is she performing, she's excelling at it. What kind of parents would allow their child to dive into a scene like that? And what kind of teenager would have the drive to pursue such a path while most of her peers are busy with homework and casual hobbies? As it turns out, Charli's parents weren't absent at all. Far from being controlling or strict, they fully supported her dreams. They believed in giving her the freedom to follow her passions without imposing limits. Achieving success was important for Charli, as it helped her realize how fortunate she was and how important it was to embrace her opportunities fully. At the same time, her heritage set her apart in unique ways and may have influenced her artistic personality. I always felt like a loser, she said. My school was full of blonde white girls, and I was a half Indian girl with frizzy hair and different interests. That always made me feel a bit rejected. I thought, if I made music, people would think I was interesting. Deep down, one of my biggest fears was being boring. By the time Charli turned 18, she had become a prominent figure in the London underground music scene. No longer just a young artist experimenting with music, she began attracting significant media attention for her distinctive style and appearance. Today, however, 14 and nearly everything else Charli XCX created during that era has been wiped from the internet, never having been officially released in the first place. The only way to uncover her earliest work is to dig through old Reddit threads and sift through dubious Google Drive links to track down her very first recordings. And there's a reason for that. In interviews over the years, Charli has described her early songs as gimmicky, terrible MySpace music, but you might be surprised if you take the time to seek them out.
They all love you, they all want you, of course they do, oh yes it's true, they love your skin, they want your hair, they want your eyes, I tell no lies, jack wheels, clipped hair, penciled eyes, you get attention.
Some of the tracks from 14 are genuinely captivating. For instance, Francesca is a raw, chaotic and gritty track that feels like it could have been a precursor to something Sleigh Bells might have made in 2010, except it came earlier, or even a proto-version of the experimental sound Charli is known for today.
I don't even see myself as a pop star, I actually see myself as an anti-pop star. Well, I guess now there seems to be a lot of rules. You know, things you can say, things you can't say, the lies you're meant to tell. I just don't really have time for that. I think pop stars were better in like the 80s and 90s.
And those nostalgic synthy sounds became the foundation for Charli's debut album, True Romance. Realizing she couldn't find her way while still in school, she dropped out of college just as her label sent her to LA to collaborate with American producers. True Romance may not have topped the charts, but it marked the arrival of a bold new voice in pop music. Blending shimmering synth pop with introspective lyrics, the album earned widespread critical acclaim for its innovative sound and emotional depth. Tracks like Nuclear Seasons and So Far Away resonated with a dedicated audience, drawn to Charli's unique mix of vulnerability and defiance. While commercial success eluded it at the time, True Romance grew into a cult classic, celebrated by fans and critics as a daring exploration of pop's future and a foundational work in Charli's evolution as one of the genre's most forward-thinking artists. The album's ability to connect deeply laid the groundwork for Charli's dedicated fan base, often referred to as her angels. Over the years, it has gained recognition as a hidden gem, frequently revisited by those looking to understand the roots of Charli's career.
Fucking crazy. It's been pretty, yeah, I mean, roller coaster sounds cheesy, but that's definitely what it has been. It's been really cool. Well, I put my record out in the US on December 16th. It's called Sucker.
I love the name of that.
Thank
Do you
you.
feel what the inspiration for that?
Yeah, all the really annoying people in the music industry.
After the cult success of her debut album, True Romance, Charli XCX catapulted into the mainstream with her second studio album, Sucker. This era marked a dramatic shift in her career, with explosive success on the charts and a new image. Fueled by hit singles like Boom Clap, which became a global phenomenon after featuring on the Fault in Our Stars soundtrack, Charli finally broke into the upper echelon of pop music. The album also boasted collaborations that further amplified her reach, including Break the Rules, a rebellious anthem, and Doing It, featuring fellow British pop star Rita Ora. At this point, Charli seemed unstoppable, solidifying her place in the pop world, not just as a performer, but also as a songwriter. Her contributions to Iggy Azalea's chart-topping single Fancy and Icona Pop's I Love It showcased her versatility and ability to craft undeniable hits, further cementing her mainstream success during this era.
turn down nine. Slaying these hoes, gold trigger on a gun like. So fancy, you already know I'm in the fast lane. From LA to Tokyo, I'm so fancy. Can't you taste this gold? Remember my name, up to blow.
Who that? Gigi Rock. They do that. Gigi Rock. Who that?
However, behind the scenes, Charli was grappling with a different reality. Sucker, while commercially successful, became one of her most polarizing projects among fans and critics. The album embraced a loud, punk-inspired pop sound, and while some praised its energy and boldness, others criticized it for lacking the authenticity and innovation of her earlier work. Charli herself has admitted in interviews that this was a period where she had limited creative control. The sound and direction of Sucker were heavily influenced by her label, aiming for radio-friendly hits rather than the experimental, boundary-pushing style she had envisioned for herself. For some fans, Sucker represented Charli's compromise with the mainstream, catchy and polished, but missing the unique voice that had made her stand out. It's often regarded as one of her weakest albums, a project where commercial demands overpowered her artistic instincts. Despite its flaws, Sucker played a crucial role in her journey, proving she could dominate the charts, but also highlighting the creative constraints of the traditional pop machine. This era also marked the beginning of a growing tension in Charli's career, balancing her identity as a forward-thinking artist with the demands of being a mainstream pop star. While Sucker brought her the visibility and recognition she had been working toward, it also served as a turning point, sparking her eventual pivot toward more experimental, self-driven projects that would redefine her legacy. Ultimately, the Sucker era is a complex chapter in Charli XCX's story, a time of massive success, creative compromise, and the lessons that would lead her to take control of her artistry in the years to come. After the loud mainstream success of Sucker, Charli XCX found herself at a crossroads. The album had solidified her as a pop star, but it also left her feeling creatively boxed in. Charli had always been a forward thinker, someone who wanted to push pop music into uncharted territory, and now it was time for her to break free. In 2016, she introduced a whole new side of herself with the Vroom Vroom EP. This was Charli's first collaboration with Sophie, a visionary producer from the PC Music Collective. Together, they created something completely different, sharp, futuristic, and unapologetically weird. Songs like Vroom Vroom were a far cry from the radio-friendly hits of Sucker. The EP wasn't made to dominate the charts, it was made to challenge expectations. This was a turning point. Charli was no longer just making pop music, she was reshaping it.
So let's ride. Bitches know they can't catch me. Cute, sexy in my ride, sporty. Those slugs know they can't catch me. Beep beep. So let's ride. Bitches know they can't catch me. Cute, sexy in my ride, sporty. Those slugs know they can't catch me. So let's ride, let's ride. Let's ride.
Around this time, Charli also began building a devoted, almost cult-like fan base. Her angels, as they're called, embraced this new experimental direction wholeheartedly. Charli wasn't playing by the traditional rules anymore, and her fans loved her for it.
I love my fans. I love my fan base, and I don't say that lightly. I know all artists say, I love my fans, but I feel like my relationship with my fans is extremely special because at a point in my life when I decided to kind of change everything about my career as the public and the fandom knew it, they supported me, and they really stuck by me at a point in time where I drastically changed my sound. And I kind of feel like they really raised me up and made me believe in myself. Like, they have given me a lot of belief in my own music and my own self. And that's so incredible. And I really feel like I wouldn't be who I am in ways without them. So I have to communicate because I trust their opinion, and I think they're really cool.
This was when she met the producer who would transform her career, A.G. Cook. At the time, Cook was a music student in London and the recent founder of his own record label, PC Music. For a few years, he had been experimenting, creating music with friends like Sophie and Window Checkpoint. His ultimate goal wasn't to collaborate with massive stars, but to develop his own brand of pop music by working with distinctive and unique personalities, allowing his creative vision to remain uncompromised. Vroom Vroom was an unusual, niche EP that didn't aim for mainstream appeal. Number 1, Angel, released in 2017, is a mixtape that felt like a rebellious middle finger to the industry's rigid structures. It was vibrant, chaotic, and filled with collaborations with artists like Ray, M.O. and Cupcake. This wasn't just a collection of songs. It was a statement. Charli was experimenting with sounds, testing boundaries, and proving she didn't need a major album rollout to make a splash. Number 1, Angel, was a love letter to her growing fan base and a bridge to what would come next. Then there was XCX World. Or, more accurately, there wasn't. XCX World was the album that almost was. Set to be her 3rd studio album, it was scrapped after leaking online, leaving fans to piece together what could have been. The tracks from this era, like Girls' Night Out and Bounce, showcased a Charli who was still trying to toe the line between mainstream pop and experimental sounds. In some ways, XCX World became a myth among her fans, a glimpse into a version of Charli that never fully materialized.
And the new album coming out soon?
Yeah. I don't know. It's been ready for like ages, so I don't know. I'm putting a mixtape out at the end of February though. Yeah. I haven't done interviews for a while, so I'm a bit like, so sorry about that.
Is that why you're postponing the new album? Because you can't be bothered?
No. Yeah, just can't be bothered. No, it's been done for ages. I guess the music industry is just different now. You have to like promote singles for like 10 months before you release anything.
If XCX World was the turning point, then the EP she was talking about, Pop 2, was the triumph. Released in late 2017, Pop 2 wasn't just a mixtape, but a revolution. Working again with the Sophie and A.G. Cook, Charli created something truly groundbreaking. Pop 2 wasn't afraid to be messy, to be raw, to be completely unlike anything else in pop. Tracks like Out of My Head and Tears felt futuristic, while songs like Track 10 pushed the limits of what pop could even be. But Pop 2 wasn't just about sound, it was about community. Charli's collaborations were more than features. They felt like a celebration of the underground pop scene she had become a champion of. Artists like Carly Rae Jepsen, Tove Lo, and Kim Petras joined her to create a project that was as much about collective creativity as it was about individual artistry. Pop 2 was also a critical triumph, with many praising Charli for her daring reinvention of pop music. Publications like Pitchfork, The Guardian, and NME hailed it as a bold, boundary-pushing project that cemented her status as one of the most innovative artists of her generation. Critics who once dismissed her as just another pop star began recognizing her as a serious artist with a distinct vision. For many, Pop 2 was not just a collection of songs. It was a cultural reset, redefining what pop music could look and sound like in the digital age. Pop 2 isn't called Pop 2 because Charli made Pop 1. It's named that because the music is the sequel to pop music itself. It's easy to see where Charli got the passion to make these. At the core of it, she's making pop music, which is what she always wanted to do, but with a fresh new sound. It's a mix of her interest in pop music and her love for experimenting and trying new things. This era may not have been her most commercially successful. There were no boom-clap level chart hits, but it solidified Charli's reputation as one of pop's most innovative forces. Her angels rallied around her, growing stronger and more loyal with every release. Charli wasn't just making music for the masses anymore. She was creating for the people who truly understood her vision.
What your fans think about you clearly means an awful lot.
It does, yeah. And I think sometimes that's quite a dangerous place to be in because, I do care what they think, but I also, am my own person and I cannot be controlled by the tweets of lots of people I don't really know. I really respect them and I value their opinion and value their support. So yeah, I do care what they think.
At this point, the only thing left for Charli to do was to back up her words with action and release her first studio album in 5 years. This time, however, it wasn't a compromise between the label pushing for radio-friendly pop hits and her half-hearted attempts to appease them. Her third album, Charli, felt like her true debut, at least in the sense that it was the first album she genuinely wanted to make. It was also the first one she didn't later admit to regretting.
There definitely were conversations that were had about how I could kind of make myself more appealing to, the kind of commercial market. And it was just something I wasn't really willing to do. And I've always been a believer of being myself and staying true to who I am and not being performative and becoming a character that I just can't keep up with myself. And I think we're in a world right now where amazingly a lot of women within the industry really believe the same thing. I think there are so many unique and dynamic individual characters within pop music at the moment, which really speaks volumes to how, women are taking control of not only their own image, but every single aspect of their career. And I think that is hugely important. And, I wish that I'd had somebody like Billie Eilish being the hugest, most massive pop star in the world when I was kind of 12, because I think it would have shown me, that it's okay to be exactly who you want to be.
Released in September 2019, Charli was a bold, genre-defying record that perfectly captured her evolution as an artist. It combined the experimental edge of her mixtapes with the emotional depth and introspection of a pop star, unafraid to show her vulnerability. The album was packed with collaborations that felt less like features and more like curated moments of shared creativity. Artists like Christine and the Queens, Kim Petras, and Lizzo all brought their unique styles to the table, creating a diverse yet cohesive body of work. The album explored themes of love, heartbreak, identity, and self-reflection, but it did so through Charli's unmistakable lens of futuristic hyperpop production. Tracks like 1999 and Gone balanced accessibility with innovation, while deeper cuts like Thoughts and White Mercedes showcased a rawness and honesty that hadn't been as prominent in her earlier work.
For me, music will always be such a safe place for me and a place where I feel free and able to explore and create. And so even when I do have those moments of doubt, I kind of just have to take some time and sit with it and feel the feeling and then hopefully move on to more positive things.
By 2019, Charli XCX's relentless grind and fearless experimentation were finally beginning to pay off in ways she had always hoped. Charli wasn't just a creative triumph. It marked a pivotal moment where her cult following began to morph into a bona fide movement. At the heart of this era was her devoted fanbase. What had started as a small but passionate community during her mixtape years had grown into a global network of fiercely loyal supporters. Many of them were members of the LGBTQ+ community, drawn not only to her genre-bending music, but also to the unapologetically inclusive world she had built. For them, Charli wasn't just a pop star, she was a symbol of freedom, self-expression, and resistance against the polished, cookie-cutter expectations of mainstream pop. This connection wasn't accidental. Charli's collaborations with queer artists and producers such as Sophie and Kim Petras infused her work with a raw authenticity that resonated deeply. Songs like Gone, featuring Christine and the Queens, became anthems for those who felt out of place or misunderstood. The track's message of alienation and its electrifying, genre-defying production captured the essence of what her music represented during this time, finding strength in vulnerability and community in chaos. While her fan base continued growing, Charli's mainstream visibility was also rising again. The lead-up to Charli was marked by high-profile singles like 1999, which paired nostalgic lyrics with glossy, modern production. The song wasn't just a hit, it became a cultural moment, with its playful music video recreating iconic late 90s pop culture references. It was a clever bridge between her underground sensibilities and mainstream appeal, reminding the world that she could still make bangers that didn't compromise her vision.
Charli, you've taken the idea of the sort of DIY album to the next level, really, but is the subtext to all of this really about human connection in isolation?
Yeah, I suppose so, in many ways. I mean, I think for me, this album making process has really, really kind of connected with me, with the people who listen to my music online, my fans, people who are watching me, and it's really kind of like brought us so much closer together, obviously because we're all in a shared situation, but also because we're kind of creating things together over the internet, whether it be music videos or artwork or even lyrics and things like that. So yeah, in that sense, I think my personal connections with people who are in different countries far away from me, across the other side of the globe, I feel really close. I feel really close with them because we're in this shared experience together.
I will always love you. I'll love you forever. Even when we're not together, I will always love you. I love you forever. Said I love you forever. I know in the future we won't see each other. Cold just like December, but I will always love you. I love you forever. Yeah, I love you forever.
Heading into 2020, Charli XCX was riding the momentum of her most artistically successful period yet. The Charli album had reintroduced her to the mainstream conversation without sacrificing the experimental edge that defined her. She'd cultivated a reputation as one of pop's most innovative forces, and her angels were more devoted than ever. With major festivals and tours lined up, it felt like Charli was poised to continue her ascent, balancing her growing mainstream credibility with her underground, hyperpop roots. But then, the world stopped. The COVID-19 pandemic hit, grinding the music industry to a halt. Tours were cancelled, studios shut down, and artists faced an uncertain future.
My mental health during lockdown, I mean, there's been ups and downs. as there are with humans, you know. I think for me, I've found that some days I kind of wake up and I just feel this ball of anxiety in my chest, and I haven't quite figured out why. I think there is this whole element of uncertainty that's kind of like surrounding daily life at the moment for everybody. I've, you know, really kind of like realised about myself that I cannot switch off and relax. You know, I just need to give myself a break and understand that it's okay to kind of, you know, just take a sit back and like breathe for one day rather than like running at a wall constantly.
And true to her word, Charli did not slow down, even when the world had. While much of the music industry came to a standstill in early 2020, Charli seized the moment as an opportunity to create. Confined to her Los Angeles home during lockdown, she poured her restless energy into How I'm Feeling Now, an album that would become a defining artifact of the pandemic era.
It was extremely DIY, made from my living room, kind of in collaboration with my fans via the internet. And I was essentially just using the tools that I had at my fingertips to create and also create with others who were kind of sat at home, united with me in the same kind of situation that everybody was in globally. And so that was definitely a different way of recording, a way that I haven't really recorded since I was 14 maybe, you know, like singing into my computer whilst like my boyfriend at the time was in like the next room and like feeling embarrassed about shouting and singing and things like that.
Unlike traditional album cycles with polished production and calculated rollouts, How I'm Feeling Now was raw, immediate, and deeply personal. The entire project was conceptualized, written, and produced in just 5 weeks, with Charli documenting every step of the process in real time on social media. Fans got to witness and even influence the making of the album, weighing in on lyrics, sharing their thoughts on early demos, and helping her craft visuals. This level of transparency was groundbreaking, turning How I'm Feeling Now into more than just an album. It was a shared experience, a collaboration between Charli and the community she'd built over years of pushing boundaries. The album itself reflected the chaos and intimacy of its creation. Tracks like Forever, Claws, and Anthems captured the emotional extremes of lockdown, oscillating between longing, frustration, and euphoric release. Charli's signature hyperpop production was sharper than ever, thanks to her work with longtime collaborators like A.G. Cook and B.J. Burton. But beneath the glitchy beats and digital sheen, the songs carried a raw vulnerability, delving into themes of love, connection, and mental health in a way that felt urgent and unfiltered.
Okay, video shoot. Are you excited to shoot?
Very, very excited.
Me too.
Like your mind, like your smile, like your eyes, I could die. Aeroplane, US fly, singing songs like Jeremiah. Party time,
How I'm Feeling Now wasn't just an artistic triumph, it was emblematic of a larger shift happening in the music industry. The year 2020 saw a wave of transformative albums by women that redefined what modern music could be. Taylor Swift's introspective Folklore, Fiona Apple's groundbreaking Fetch the Bolt Cutters, Phoebe Bridgers' Haunting Punisher, and Jessie Ware's lush What's Your Pleasure all proved that women weren't just dominating music, they were shaping its future. These releases, alongside Charli's, demonstrated that emotional honesty, genre experimentation, and female-led innovation were not only welcomed but celebrated.
Women are not treated equally in the pop music sphere or in the music industry as a whole. There still needs to be a huge shift towards equality, and, you know, using festival lineups, which obviously feel so nostalgic and far away now. As an example, you know, there needs to be 50-50 equality bookings on all festival lineups, and that really needs to kind of start from the ground up within the music industry. So yeah, I do think that there are a lot of things that can be done and a long way to go before we see women treated and put on the same level as men. Within the, there are so many incredible female producers, mix engineers, execs, artists, songwriters, who I think just unfortunately are not taken as seriously as their male counterparts.
In many ways, Charli's How I'm Feeling Now was a microcosm of this shift. It highlighted the power of women in music to adapt, innovate, and connect, even in the face of unprecedented challenges. The album's critical acclaim and the way it resonated with her fans reaffirmed Charli's place as one of the most forward-thinking artists of her generation. And in a year that redefined so much, it also solidified the idea that women were now leading the charge in reshaping what music could be.
Okay, fine. So, Charli, how do you feel release day?
I feel strangely calm. I feel very excited, but it's kind of at the point where, you know, nothing can be done now. You know, I can't like go and change a load of things. So I'm really excited. I'm very proud of the album, so I can't wait for it to be out.
After years of carving out a space as one of pop's most innovative and experimental artists, Charli XCX found herself back in the spotlight in 2022 with her 5th studio album, Crash. It was a triumphant moment that marked her return to mainstream success, a payoff for years of relentless creativity and hard work. Critics and fans were divided over the album's direction. For some, Crash was Charli's slickest, most accessible record to date, a celebration of pop music in its purest form. For others, it felt like a departure from the hyperpop edge and DIY spirit that had defined her work in the years prior. Charli herself described the album as her major label sellout moment, leaning into the aesthetics and tropes of 80s and 90s pop with a deliberate sense of irony. And yet, even within its polished, radio-friendly veneer, Crash carried the same sense of subversion that had always been at the heart of her artistry.
During the pandemic, I had begun making Crash, but then I actually decided that it felt like the wrong album to make at that time because I really wanted to make this kind of high gloss, super pop, like luxurious feeling album. And then it just kind of felt wrong because it felt like that wasn't really like the place that I was in or my fans were in or generally people in the world were in. I was lucky enough to be able to use studios and go and collaborate with producers and fellow co-writers that I was working with on the album, and I like to work in contrasts, and so this album, Crash, is very different. I think it's kind of discussing more like broader sweeping themes: sex, romance, power, and power within relationships, whether they'd be romantic or, you know, the relationship I have with my record label or friendships, and the idea of what kind of woman I am and playing with the constructs of the female identity within pop music. That's kind of where I landed with this album, Crash.
The lead single, Good Ones, was an irresistibly catchy banger, driven by pulsing bass lines and shimmering melodies that showcased Charli's ability to craft a hit while staying true to her artistic vision. Elsewhere on the record, tracks like New Shapes, featuring Christine and the Queens and Caroline Polachek, channeled the sleek, synth-driven aesthetics of the 80s, while Used to Know Me embraced house music and the infectious energy of early 90s dance pop. The Crash era wasn't just about the music, it was also about the spectacle. The album rollout was one of Charli's most theatrical, leaning into camp and high-concept visuals that felt larger than life. From the striking album cover to the vibrant music videos, every element was designed to feel bold and unapologetically pop. Her Crash tour was equally monumental. For the first time in her career, Charli headlined massive venues around the world, solidifying her transition from cult favorite to pop powerhouse. She also made her long-awaited Glastonbury debut, delivering a high-energy performance that cemented her place on some of music's biggest stages.
I love Glastonbury. It's such an iconic festival. Like, no shade to the US, but the US do not know how to do a festival like Glastonbury, for real. I've recently started dancing and doing choreography, which is a totally new thing for me.
You've only recently started doing choreography.
Yeah.
You don't look like it's recent.
Thanks.
You don't.
Thank you. Well, that means a lot because in my head I'm freaking out. I'm like, I'm gonna fall over, and I'm counting, and I'm like trying to just like not fall off the stage or trip up. So that means a lot. Yeah, I think with the choreography I'm a lot more like focused, but generally when I'm performing I'm kind of just like, free in the moment, which is really fun.
These moments weren't just milestones. They were proof that Charli's years of boundary-pushing experimentation had finally translated into widespread recognition. The Crash era also saw Charli expanding her influence in other ways. She collaborated with brands, appeared on the Barbie soundtrack and on major talk shows, and even dipped her toes into acting. Through it all, she stayed connected to her angels, who embraced the album as another evolution in her ever-changing career. For them, Crash wasn't just an album. It was a victory lap for an artist who had spent years defying expectations and rewriting the rules of pop. After years of breaking boundaries and forging her own path, Charli XCX entered her Brat era in 2024, and it felt like the culmination of everything she'd been working toward. By now, Charli had already cemented her status as both a pop innovator and an underground icon. But with Brat, it was clear she was ready to take things to a whole new level. This was the album where everything clicked. The sound, the visuals, the energy. Leading up to the release, the buzz around Charli was electric. She teased fans with cryptic posts and chaotic Y2K-inspired visuals that captured the bratty, rebellious energy the album was named for. Her lead single, Von Dutch, dropped in early 2024 and immediately set the tone. The track was a hyperpop meets 2000s throwback anthem, unapologetically loud and dripping with attitude. Fans loved it, critics loved it. It was clear Brat wasn't just another project, it was a moment. Brat wasn't just an album, it was an attitude, a lifestyle, and a lime green fever dream. By the time it dropped in June 2024, the buzz was deafening. Brat wasn't just a party album, it had heart. Sure, it was loud, brash, and full of attitude, but it also had these deeply personal moments. Tracks like I Think About It All the Time and Sympathy is a Knife give us a glimpse behind the curtain, showing Charli wrestling with vulnerability, identity, and self-worth. It was like she'd thrown the ultimate rager but left the door open to the quiet room in the back for anyone who needed it. 360 is a pulsating pop anthem that dives into the whirlwind of self-confidence, fame, and the complexities of modern relationships. Lyrically, it's brimming with attitude, with one standout line being, "I'm so Julia," a direct nod to Julia Fox, who also appears in the music video. The phrase captures a moment of unabashed self-assurance, referencing Fox's bold, unapologetic persona and cementing her as a cultural symbol of being effortlessly iconic. It's a testament to Charli's ability to merge pop culture, music, and art into one cohesive vision.
Yeah, 360. When you're in the mirror, do you like what you see? When you're in the mirror, you're just looking at me. I'm everywhere, I'm so Julia. When you're in the party, bumping that beat. 666 with a princess streak. I'm everywhere, I'm so Julia.
Critically, Brat was a triumph. The album scored glowing reviews across the board, with many calling it her most cohesive and self-assured project to date. Even longtime skeptics of Charli's more experimental work found themselves drawn in by the energy and charisma of the record. For many fans, Brat was the perfect balance between the mainstream appeal of Crash and the forward-thinking artistry of Pop 2 and How I'm Feeling Now. But it wasn't just the music that made Brat such a defining era, it was everything surrounding it. Charli leaned all the way into the Brat persona, crafting an aesthetic that was bold, loud, and impossible to ignore. The lime green visuals became instantly iconic, and her chaotic music videos felt like a celebration of excess and rebellion. This was Charli at her most playful, poking fun at pop star cliches, while completely owning them at the same time. But perhaps the most fascinating part of the Brat era was the cultural ripple effect it created. By July, Brat wasn't just an album, it was a movement. Social media exploded with content inspired by the album. TikTok challenges, memes, fan edits, and lime green fashion trends all fed into what fans dubbed Brat Summer. It wasn't just about listening to the music, it was about living it, embodying that carefree, rebellious energy that Charli had bottled so perfectly. And the term brat itself, it became a badge of honor. To be a brat was to be unapologetic, bold, and unafraid to stand out. A message that resonated deeply, especially with Charli's devoted LGBTQ+ fanbase. For so many of her fans, Brat was more than music. It was a celebration of self-expression and individuality. Also, Collins Dictionary named it their word of the year.
Brave.
No.
Brat.
What does brat mean?
That's when your children play up, like you say, oh, you little brat.
Yeah.
Actually, it's got a new meaning. It was kind of started by a pop star called Charli XCX.
Does that come from America then? Is that an Americanism?
No, she's actually from Essex.
Is she?
Yeah.
Do you think you're Brat? Have you ever been Brat?
Probably when I was little, but
What about the new meaning of it?
Oh, yes, definitely.
You had a party phase?
Yes, oh, definitely.
So we make the decision about Word of the Year by, first of all, looking at all the data that we get from the Collins corpus, which is basically a huge database of multiple millions of words, and it monitors how often words are used in traditional media and also on social media, which led us to the change in definition of the word brat that we've seen massively sort of embraced across social media, and generally lots of articles about that in the print media. So that's why brat has become our word of the year.
The Brat remix album wasn't just an add-on to extend the era, it was a creative statement all its own. Released a few months after the original album, it brought a fresh energy to the tracks, proving that Brat was more than just a party record. It was a cultural force. This wasn't your average remix album with generic club edits or radio-friendly tweaks. Instead, it was an ambitious reimagining of Charli's work. She enlisted a carefully curated roster of artists, each known for their bold, boundary-pushing sounds, to bring their unique perspectives to her songs. The standout moment was the Guess remix featuring Billie Eilish.
Charli likes boys, but she knows I'd hit it.
Each remix felt like a love letter to Charli's creative world, enhancing the bratty, rebellious energy while exploring new sonic territories. Critics praised the remix album for its cohesiveness and creativity, noting that it elevated the original songs without losing their essence. Fans too embraced it as a continuation of the Brat ethos, with remixes like 365 and Von Dutch becoming dance floor staples.
It means a lot. I mean, it's such a huge word. And I mean, what can I say? I always just try and, stay as authentic to who I truly am. And if that's innovative, then I'll take it.
As the Brat era came to a close, it was clear Charli XCX had created something truly special. This wasn't just a great album, it was a cultural reset, a reminder of why pop music matters and how it can reflect the world around us. And for Charli, it was proof that after years of pushing boundaries, she could not only reinvent herself, but also create something that resonated deeply with both her core fans and the mainstream. Looking ahead, the legacy of Brat is already cemented. It's an album that will be remembered not just for its hits or its aesthetic, but for the way it captured a moment in time, a summer, a mindset, and a movement. Charli XCX has always been ahead of the curve, and with Brat, she's proven once again why she's one of the most important artists of her generation. Because if Brat taught us anything, it's this. Charli XCX isn't just making music, she's making history.